conjugate of surd. So whenever we talk about conjugate in surd, usually we will involve of like two terms. For example, like an integers or a rational number. Let's say we consider the case of plus with square root of another number, another surd term, let's say a plus square root of b. Then in such case, it is only meaningful that we want to discuss for conjugate in order to solve a further question, where the idea of conjugates here for surd is similar like what you happen to encounter in complex number. The idea is just as simple as you change the sign on the part with square roots. So therefore, if a plus b square root of b, the corresponding conjugate will be a minus square root of b. And what if, let's say, both of them happens to have square roots? Then your conjugates will happen to be square root of a minus square root of b. Or maybe, instead of switching the sign on b, you switch the sign on a will do. So either one of them is the conjugate for square root of a plus b. And please take notes. If you change both of the sign, this is no longer the conjugate. And what is important to study about conjugate is that you are going to make use of it for rationalizations of the surd term. In here, basically the square root term. And before we can do that, let us learn the shortcut on the calculations of the conjugate pairs. So basically, in here, you can see that the first brackets and the second brackets, they happen to be conjugate to each other. And the calculations here, they give us the result in green. And if I want to summarize everything here fast enough, we need to recall on the knowledge that you learned before in your secondary level, where by the time you have, let's say, m plus n multiply with m minus n, so the corresponding result we'll produce is we have m squared minus n squared. With that idea, we have a look on the multiplication highlighted in green here. You happen to find out that this is the m, the square root of a is your m, whereas the square root of b is your n. So such multiplication, where again you see the sign, one is plus, one is minus, and before I go on further, the plus and minus sign, no matter which comes first, is alright. It should be produced the same result according to this formula. So I have the answer as the initial writing according to the formula written here, the m squared minus the n squared. Simplify the square roots. The square of the square root we simplify, we have a minus b. So this is the idea, the concept I need you to be aware. And see further example in numbers, that is written in numbers. So we know square root of 2 minus square root of 3, I have a conjugate of square root of 2 plus square root of 3. In this case here, I change the sign of square root of 3. From negative, I change to positive. Of course, if you want to change the square root, the negative, you change the square root of 2 into negative square root of 2 also can. But we try to reduce to see so many negative signs there in our calculation, so that our calculation will be easier. So therefore, again, what you happen to see is that this is happen as if like our m. This is as if like our n. So when the time I have m minus n multiply m plus n, the result will be m squared minus n squared. So you square square root of 2, you got 2. You square square root of 3, you get 3. As a result, answer is minus 1. Similarly, when the time we consider 4 minus square root of 5, again, we use the idea m minus n multiply m plus n. Result will be m squared minus n squared. So your m is happen to be 4. So 4 squared, it will give us 16. Minus, your n in this case here is square root of 5. You square root of 5, you get 5. So as a result, you have it as 11.